Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I'm Jordan, and today I'm talking about what this guy, that's right, former baby killer in chief, President Barack Obama, has to say. Well, what he most likely has to say in regards to the 2020 election, in regards to Bernie Sanders in particular. But first, please consider donating to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The GoFundMe link is in the description box. Click that link, read the story, check out the other donations, and make a donation yourself. None of the money goes to us. It goes to charity, so you'll be helping someone out. If you got like $5, hopefully more, just laying around, and you want to donate to a charity, you can do so at Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link in the description box. All right. So, Barack Obama. Now, I did a video recently on this guy, basically explaining how shitty of a president he is. And I understand why he might be afraid of someone like Bernie Sanders. And I'm also considering the fact that establishment Democrats, the elite of the Democratic Party, like him, are working behind closed doors to make sure that Bernie Sanders does not get elected. Why? Probably because Bernie means well and these guys don't. And that might just be enough. Seriously. There's a chance they could probably stop a lot of his policy, like all these fucking overhauling policy that Bernie Sanders has put out. They probably have a feeling like, okay, we can slow this down, or maybe get him out in 4 years or something like that. Slow him down enough to where you can only get a few things done. But these guys don't even want to take that type of risk. And that's all that's needed is someone who seems like they mean well, like they're going to try to help people. And these guys have to shoot them down immediately. That's how corruption works. You can't have a leak. Just like good guys, you can't have a leak. You can't have a compromise. You can't have any type of corruption enter your inner circle. These guys can't have anyone that means well enter their circle. They got to keep it pure. So we have this article here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. We have this article here. I'm just going to read the excerpt right here. Then I'll show you the title. It's from the Huffington Post. It says, Politico's Ryan Liza, who spoke to several of Obama's advisors, wrote that the former president sees his role in the Democratic Party process as providing guardrails to make sure it doesn't get too ugly and to unite the party when the nominee is clear. Now, adding, normally, just if you heard normal people saying that, you'd be like, oh, okay. But with the context of Barack Obama and what he represents, which is the elites of the Democratic Party who don't want to see well-meaning people get anywhere near their type of power level. It's like, what do you mean by make sure it doesn't get too ugly? Do you mean like that video I did where it's too far left? What do you mean by unite the party? I mean, are you saying, like, if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, are you going to unite the party against him? I don't think you could do that out on the surface, but we're not talking about out on the surface, are we? What we're about to read is more about what's happening behind closed doors. Let's continue. Oh, see, already the next line. Look at this. It says, but there's one exception, Liza wrote, and that's Sanders. Oh, okay. This is a quote here. Back when Sanders seemed like more of a threat than he does now, Obama said privately that if Bernie were running away with the nomination, Obama would speak up to stop him. Imagine using all the dumb, conditioned people who you sold hope and change to that voted for you because you sold them a narrative, you sold them a brand Obama, you sold that to them. There's people that are still holding on to that person, that persona, their daddy figure, and you're going to turn them against someone who seems like they mean well. And if it, I don't play identity politics, but if it's like mostly black voters, it's like Bernie seems like his policies would affect them a lot. It would affect everyone, I think. On paper, his policy on paper would affect everyone, definitely. But it would seem like it would affect them a lot in particular. Well, just, anyone struggling, anyone who's poor, anyone in poverty. So why would Obama want to get in the way of that? It's because he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about poor. I don't think he cares about middle class either. He just cares about them in the sense of getting their votes to keep power so he can start a Obama Foundation or whatever the fuck. Or worse. Or worse might be something that most people would take as conspiracy theory, which is why I'm just like, oh, okay. I won't go into it. I won't go too crazy about it, but definitely something psychologically off happening. I'll put it that way. So yeah, once again, behind closed doors, Obama would speak up to stop him. I wonder what that would look like, actually. Now it's like I want to see Bernie win the nomination just to see what that would look like. But anyways, continuing. This is all according to Liza's report. It's unclear exactly what period of time the Politico reporter was referring to. Okay. Sanders, who lost a Democratic primary race to Hillary Clinton in 2016, has remained among the frontrunners since announcing his second presidential bid in February. A Quinnipiac, I think that's how you say it, university poll conducted nationally last month of likely Democratic voters showed Sanders at 15%, trailing behind Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts at 28%, and former Vice President Joe Biden at 21%. I don't believe either one of those. I think Bernie is just starting to run away with things. This is what I'm reading. If I just checking the pulse of the country, Bernie Sanders seems to be running away with it, if you ask me. Considering the type of support he's getting, the youth it's locked up. It's his. No one's taking from that. That's his. The youth vote is Bernie Sanders, 100%. The older voters, well, what happens when the field starts narrowing down? It hasn't yet. We still got like 10 people on the fucking stage. What if it narrows down to like 3 or 4 people? What happens when Biden's left alone with Sanders? When Elizabeth Warren is left alone with Sanders, to where you actually have to showcase your policy, and Bernie can show the difference between his policy and Elizabeth Warren's. Now, what's not helping is that these older voters seem to watch a lot of TV. They seem to get their news from television and mainstream networks, even though the Tim Pool crowd will come to me and say, MSNBC, they're leftists, and CNN, they're leftists. It's like, you guys have no fucking clue what's going on. These guys are definitely in Barack Obama's camp of trying to stop Bernie Sanders, 100%. They either don't mention him, or they'll mention his policies and attribute them to Elizabeth Warren, and then they'll start a conversation about, is Elizabeth Warren going too far left and wanting to give health care to everyone? See how they take Bernie's policy? They don't mention him. Thus, these older voters don't hear the name pop up over and over and over again. They hear Warren, they hear Biden over and over, and Buttigieg over and over and over again. And you've probably seen the graphics of the poll numbers being shifted around and showing Bernie's numbers as someone else's, and under Bernie's name, it says someone else's polling numbers. And it's like, wait a minute. Why is this happening? We've seen the fucking Pimplegate with Tulsi Gabbard. And then we've seen the discoloration of Bernie's face. after he had the heart attack. It's like very weird shit from guys that are supposed to be leftists, as the Tim Pool crowd might say. That just shows you guys have no idea what's going on. They want you to say what you're saying. Anyways, continuing reading here, it says, asked whether Obama would really step in to prevent a Sanders nomination, one advisor told Liza that he can't really confirm that. That means a yes. That means a yes behind closed doors. These guys don't work out in daylight. They're like fucking vampires. He hasn't said that directly to me, said the advisor, who was not identified. The only reason I'm hesitating at all is because, yeah, if Bernie were running away with it, I think maybe we would all have to say something. But I don't think that's likely. It's not happening. Now, pay attention to those last words. But I don't think that's likely. And then, just affirmatively, it's not happening. It's like, oh, okay. What are you guys up to? What's your plans here? Now, I've heard plenty of people like Jimmy Dore say, oh, the super delegates, they're going to screw them there, right? They're going to flood the stage with so many candidates that Bernie Sanders won't pick up the whatever it is. I think it's like 51%, some shit like that. He needs a certain percentage to where he's just an outright winner. Like, they're going to flood the fucking gates with so many crappy candidates, moderate candidates, with their own constituencies, even though they're smaller. But they pull enough to keep him down from that threshold, thus leading to a second ballot. Thus, the superdelegates come into play, and then they'd probably pick Elizabeth Warren, to be honest with you. I don't think they can get away with Joe Biden. I don't think they can get away with that. But thanks to guys like TYT, Elizabeth Warren has become, enough for their 4.4 million, viewership. Thank you, Jank, for selling us Warren this whole time. Now even though he's walking it back, he has to walk it back. Even though he's walking it back now, it's like he still sold all the way to this point to where now the Democratic establishment can say, see, we got you guys a progressive. We got you Elizabeth Warren. And you can't really complain about it because you helped sell her. You helped sell it to get her here. But yeah, that's one scenario. Also, like I've heard something about the Michael Bloomberg entering the race, and it's like, oh, Bernie would have wiped away New York State, but now that Bloomberg's there, which is the only state he'll have any impact in, he could, knock down Bernie's numbers. So, okay, if you've been paying attention to politics, this is not a surprise to you. Oh, I forgot to show the title of it. Obama said he would speak up to stop Bernie Sanders' nomination, report says. So yeah, if you're not new to politics or how these people operate, you don't even have to be into politics. You just be into psychology. Look at the policies that have been coming out in the modern times, right? Just take like the last 20 years, I guess. You could just look at the policies, and then you can make a psychological evaluation about the people who are putting these policies in place. Then you can look at someone who might have a different psychology, which is Bernie Sanders. I would add Tulsi Yang and some other people in there as well. But right now, focus on Bernie Sanders. Say, oh, okay, his psychology seems different. He's been saying similar things for the last whatever decades, right? He's been consistent about what he believes in and whatnot. And he's flubbed here and there, but you could see that as someone playing politics in order to gain an advantage to win some sort of thing, like a presidential race or something like that. So yeah, you can see like, okay, maybe it seems like this Bernie Sanders guy means well. And then you peek back and you look at those last 20 years of policy and you're just like, the psychology that came up with those policies, what do you think they would do if they found a guy who, was maybe trying to do better for everyone? What do you think's their psychological move, right? It's like, these guys will do a lot to stop him, but they have to save face. They can't just come out and do this because, Bernie's picked up the Killer Mikes, Nina Turners, fucking celebrities. What's her name? Ariana Grande, Cardi B. These are like celebrity hip hop types. It's like, oh, he has, what's his name? Travis Scott, Young Thug. He picked up those fucking like endorsements, basically. So it's like, oh, he has the, star power. He has that. He has the pop vote, essentially. So it's like, if you're just looking at the psychology of these fucking, I want to call them creatures. It's like, okay, they're not going to go out in front of everyone and say Bernie Sanders is bad. Do not vote for him, because that'll make them look bad. So what they're going to do is they're going to work behind the scenes, and then I try not to go into conspiracy, but I'm like, I think I've said it before. Like, if he gets shot, I'm just saying that might be too wild for you guys, but I'm saying I'm not saying like during the nomination, all that shit, he gets shot. I'm saying if he gets elected and he starts moving in the direction that he wants to move in, especially the foreign policy stuff, right? If he gets elected and he hires someone like Tulsi Gabbard and they start really changing how we handle foreign policy, it's like, good luck, Bernie. Good luck. And if he made some sort of pact with Elizabeth Warren and he makes her his vice president, it's like fuck, we'll take Warren any day. Yeah, I'm just throwing conspiracies out there. All right, that's it for me. Tell me what you think after you subscribe, if you feel like. Tell me what you think in the comments section. What length is Barack Obama and the rest of the Democratic establishment elites? What length are they ready to go to? You heard at least a theory that I'm considering throwing out there. But yeah, tell me what you think. Don't forget to donate. Devon's Journey to Recovery. The GoFundMe link is in the description box. And with all that said, I was thinking of something. Never mind. With all that said, give this video a thumbs down. No.
Say you wanna get in.